Hello and welcome back to Tashs Crochet, where today I'm going to show you how to make your very own Bulbasaur. Typically I make my Pokemon out of velvet yarn, but due to popular request I'm using acrylic yarn today. Here is a quick look of the yarn that I'm going to be using today, and here is Bulbasaur that I made originally with velvet yarn, so you can see the difference. We are going to start with the arms, and we're going to do 5 single crochet in a magic ring. For those of you that are new to crochet, I'm going to try and go through this really slowly just so you can see my hand movements and how I make each stitch or a magic ring. So we are going to get our hook and place it underneath both of these strings and pull the yarn underneath both of them, up and through. And then if we pull the yarn through again, that will be our sort of security stitch. It doesn't really count as a first stitch, it just makes sure that everything's in the right place. And then from now on, we can do our 5 single crochet. If you ever don't understand anything or just need a little bit of help, don't be afraid to leave a comment and I'll get back to you. And 5. There we go. So now that we have finished our 5 single crochet, we can count them here by looking at the little V's. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And what we're going to do is place a stitch marker in the stitch that's just behind our hook. There we go, and this just lets us know where the round finished. This bit might be a little bit confusing, but this is how we're going to close our magic ring. So we've got these 2 little pieces of string. If we pull, one of them is going to pull in first. You see it getting shorter on the right hand side. If you pull up where that last string was coming out, and you pull it like that, the other string will get smaller. And pull it as tight as you can until there's no hole. And then you can pull the original string and that will all be closed off for you. This is just one method of plenty of doing a magic ring, so you can look online and see which way is your favourite. This is just the first method that I learned how to do it. Now, starting with round 2, we are going to increase all the way around. So an increase just basically means that we're going to do 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So we're going to be doubling from 5 stitches to 10. So for the first few rounds I'm going to show you how I do it exactly, but later on I'm going to skip through, otherwise this video would last for hours. Now don't forget to add in your stitch marker, place marker, whatever you'd like to call it, in the last stitch by your hook, so it shows you where the round finished. Fantastic, so now we're going to move on to round 3, and this time we're going to be doing a single crochet and an increase, and we're going to repeat that the entire way around, so that should leave us with 15 stitches. One way that really helps me keep track is a single crochet is obviously 1 and an increase would be 2 stitches, so as I'm going round I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it just kind of helps me keep track. I don't know if other people do this, but it's just what I do. Also, if you're struggling to get your hook in, don't be afraid to use a smaller hook size just to pull it through, and then you can continue crocheting in your normal hook size. So from now on, I'm going to try and just go through it as quickly as possible, just so this video doesn't go on for ages. Don't forget to place your stitch marker, and this is what it should be looking like after round 3. And now from rounds 4 to 13, so that's 10 rounds, we are just going to single crochet in every single stitch around, and you should have 15 stitches. It's going to be long and it's going to be boring, but it is at least easy. So this is at the end of round 4, but I'm going to do some magic, and we're now suddenly at the end of round 13, and this is exactly what your foot should be looking like. So you can kind of push the bottom part in just so it's sort of a flatter base. Then you can take your stitch marker out. We're going to do a slip stitch, so it's just placing your hook through, pull the yarn through and pull it straight through. It's not like a single crochet. And this just kind of finishes off your yarn, and then cut it, leaving a reasonably long length for sewing later on. And with a little bit of shaping, this is what your feet should be looking like. Not your feet, these are your arms, sorry. So if you watch here, there's no real technique, but if you just kind of squish it, your crochet work is always super malleable, so you can always push it into different shapes. And when you're happy with it, this is hopefully how they should look. Now we are going to start on the feet. So we are going to do 5 single crochet in a magic ring. Hopefully by now you kind of know what you're doing with the magic ring, but I'll show you again a little bit slower so you kind of know what you're doing. So this is what your first round should be looking like, and don't forget to put your stitch marker there. On to round 2, we are going to increase in every single stitch around, so that should turn our 5 stitches into 10. And this is what the end of round 2 should look like. Moving on to round 3, we are going to do a single crochet and an increase. So that should leave you with 15 stitches. And here is the end of round 3 with your 15 stitches. Now we are going to be moving on to round 4, where we're going to be doing 2 single crochet followed by an increase, and we're repeating that the entire way around. You should end the round with 20 stitches. And this is what the end of round 4 looks like. Now from rounds 5 to 7, which is 3 rounds, we are going to single crochet the entire way around, and you should still have 20 stitches. So this is the end of round 5, but I'm going to do a little bit of magic again, and whoop, we are at the end of round 7. So this is what your feet should look like. We are going to slip stitch and fasten off, and that will be our feet done, and make sure you have 2 of them. We are going to be sewing this to the body later, so make sure that you leave enough yarn. I probably left way too much, but I would rather have more than not enough and later on be stuck trying to figure out how to sew on half of a foot. And this is what your lovely feet should be looking like. Make sure you push the bottoms down so the base is a lot more flat. So the longest and hardest part of this pattern is the head and body, and we are going to start off with 7 single crochet in a magic ring. Onto round 2, we are going to increase all the way around, which will leave us with 14 stitches. Don't forget, if you're struggling to get it in like I am, you can always use a smaller hook size. For round 3, we are going to single crochet and increase all the way around, leaving us with 21 stitches. I often find acrylic yarn can sometimes be quite hard and stiff to get your hook through, as opposed to velvet yarn where it's quite slidey and slippy. So I love using a smaller hook just to pull it through, and then I can continue crocheting as if nothing ever happened. Round 4, we are going to do 2 single crochet and then an increase. We're going to repeat that the entire way around, and you should have 28 stitches. As you have probably noticed, my hands are covered in paint. Please just ignore that. So for round 5, we are going to be doing 3 single crochet and an increase, and we're going to repeat that the entire way around, leaving you with 35 stitches. Now for rounds 6 to 10, which is 5 rounds, we're just going to be single crocheting in every stitch all the way around, and you should still have 35 stitches. Done a little bit of magic again, and here we go. This is the end of round 10. And moving on to round 11, it can be a little bit tricky, this one, but we're going to go through it nice and slow so you can understand it and make sure you don't make any mistakes. We are going to start by doing 7 single crochet, and I have sped this up a little bit. If you really struggle with these, you can always use stitch markers to represent each section. So for section 1, 7 single crochet like we've just done, and then for the next section you've got 6 increases, but then you'd have 12 stitches in that section, if you kind of understand what I mean. It can be quite difficult, even for me. I've usually got to count it several times and redo it because I've made a mistake somewhere. So now over the next 6 stitches, we are going to be increasing in just those 6. So this is going to be the cheek. It should start puffing out like this. It's okay for your work to look weird because it won't look weird in the end. This is exactly what it's supposed to be doing. So over the next 2, we are just going to single crochet in each one. Now over the next 5 stitches, we are going to increase in each one. So there's 2 stitches in each one. So those 5 should turn into 10. We go, so that's the next cheek done, and we're going to move on to do 2 single crochet. So over the next 2 stitches, a single crochet in each stitch. Now we're going to do 6 increase. So over the next 6 stitches, we're going to put 2 stitches in each stitch. So your 6 should turn to 12. And I'm skipping through, but you should have 7 single crochet left. So in total, you should have 52 stitches. And if you don't, then something has probably gone wrong. But this is the nose and the cheek. So really, if it's not correct, I'd frog my work and try again. For round 12, it's going to be super easy. We're just going to single crochet all the way around and you should have 52 stitches. We have another complicated round here, and we're basically going to be doing the opposite of what we did in round 12. But we're going to start with 7 single crochet. Now, over the next 12 stitches, we're going to be doing 6 decreases. Then we just need to do 2 single crochet. Now we're going to be doing 5 decreases, so 10 stitches to turn it into 5. and you can see the nose pop out as we do another 2 single crochet. Now over the next 12 stitches we're going to do another 6 decrease. You should be left with 7 single crochet and you should have 35 stitches. So this is what it should be looking like. Don't worry if you think it looks a bit weird, it's totally fine. This is what it looks like on Bulbasaur, the Velvet Bulbasaur, just so you can kind of see as a reference what it looks like in different yarns. For round 14 we're going to do 3 single crochet and a decrease, and we're going to repeat that all the way around, leaving you with 28 stitches. So this is what it should look like after round 14. Round 15 we are going to do 2 single crochet and a decrease, and we're going to repeat that the entire way around. So this is how it should be looking. Don't worry if it's a little bit wonky and it looks kind of ugly, but when you stuff it, you can fill all of that up and it will look great. For round 16, we are going to do a single crochet followed by a decrease, and we're going to repeat that the entire way around. So now is a great time to add your toy eyes. If you plan on using plastic eyes, if you want to use felt later on, you can do that too. When placing your eyes, I find it best to stuff your head fully, and that way you can kind of tell where's best for you. You know, you don't have to do it exactly where I put mine, but I like to do mine between rounds 9 and 10 with 8 stitches in between them. I typically use 12mm crochet toy eyes, but because this project's a lot smaller with the acrylic, I just kind of flip through, and I believe I ended up using an 8mm for this, but obviously have a look at your Bulbasaur and see which one looks best. Now, I don't recommend doing this indoors, maybe outside, but please be super careful. It just helps make sure that your toy eyes really aren't going to fall out, and I just like playing with fire, so careful not to let your crochet work actually catch on fire. So now we're going to be starting on the body. This can be quite tricky, but we're going to increase all the way around. So for round 18, we are going to do a single crochet and an increase, and we're going to repeat that all the way around, leaving you with 42 stitches. Now, don't worry if the eyes look a little bit spaced out, we can always pull them in, and I'll show you how to do this later on. It just makes the eyes look a lot cuter in my opinion, but yeah, right now they do look a bit derpy. For round 19, we are going to just be single crocheting all the way around, and you should have 42 stitches. So this next part is going to get a little bit tricky, but we're going to be sewing the legs onto the round. I know it sounds a bit tricky, but it'll be fine. I'll show you how to do it with me step by step. So we need to stuff the legs as much as you can. So we're going to go through it step by step. We're going to start by doing 12 single crochet. So we are going to be doing a single crochet through the body and the leg. You really need to make sure that you're looking at the placement of how I'm holding my plushie and see that you're holding it the same way as well. Otherwise you might end up sewing the leg on or crocheting it on upside down or all sorts of odd positions. So just watch the tutorial carefully, go through it slowly. You might make a mistake and that's fine, you just need to frog it and we'll keep trying until we get it right. So notice my hook, I'm first of all going to push it through, it can be any of the stitches, but make sure you're going from the inside to the outside. And then we're going to push it through the next stitch in the round of our body. So we're going to be pulling the string through both of them. And it can be a little bit tricky, but just take your time, it's a bit fiddly, you can do it. Great, that's done. We've done 1 single crochet, and now we just need to do that 7 more times for a total of 8. And here we go. So if you flip it the other way, there should not be any gaps or any holes. That's exactly how it should look. If you've sewn it on the wrong way, you might have it facing the other direction. In that case, just frog it and we can try again. But this is how it should be looking. There shouldn't be any sort of like visible gap in between. It should just be really seamless. So for the next 6 single crochet, we are going to just be doing it straight through the body. Nothing else, it's just a normal 6 single crochet. So next we're going to be doing the exact same thing by attaching our next arm. I always find these parts in patterns really hard to explain, and I'm a visual learner, so I hope that these tutorials help you. It's just hard to explain in words sometimes, and being able to watch somebody do it can help. And I hope it does, but of course if you're having any issues, please leave a comment and me or maybe even other crocheters can try and help you out. At this stage it's not vital that they're completely stuffed, just enough so you can have the right shape, and you can always stuff more a little bit later on. Here we go again, we're going to do 8 single crochet through both the arm and the body. Really make sure that you're looking at how I'm holding my pieces, because it's so important to get them put on the right way. And I know it looks a bit weird, but trust me, if you just try and replicate what I'm doing, it should come out fine. There we go. So this is what your arms should look like when they're attached. It's okay if things are a little bit wonky. When we stuff it later on, we can kind of sew it, pull it about, and make sure that it's all perfect. So for the last 7 stitches, it's just single crochet through the body. Now another comment here, for my plushie, this is what looked central to me. Obviously, if you've attached the arms and they're really wonky and they don't line up with the eyes, feel free to undo it and line them up properly. But this is just what works for me and my plushies. It might not be the same for you and your tension. So yeah, if you need a little bit of help, don't forget to comment. So this round can be a little bit tricky as well, but basically what we're going to be doing is leaving a gap where we're going to be sewing the armpit together. So we're going to start by doing 13 single crochet. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 8, so this should go over the gap of your arm. Now we just need to attach it to 8 stitches later. So skip 8 stitches and place it in, and we're going to do 6 single crochet of just the body. This is kind of what it should look like, so it's absolutely fine. There should be a hole. We're going to sew the armpit together later. Now, this by far is not the easiest way of doing this, but the whole point of my tutorials is to try and show you different ways of crocheting plushies together. So if you ever start making your own, you've kind of got an idea of actually how to do it. So now we're going to chain 8 again and make sure that you skip 8 stitches of the body, and then we'll finish off by doing 7 single crochet along the rest of the body. So well done, that is definitely the hardest part of this pattern. You've aced it if you've managed to make it this far. So don't worry, it should be looking a little bit weird, and you should have these gaps right here that I'm going to call them the armpits because I don't really know what to call them. You will later be sewing one side of that chain to the underarm, but I'll show you that later. Moving on to round 22, we are just going to easy single crochet the entire way around. When you get to the chains, you only single crochet along one side. This is exactly how it should be looking. So I'm going to try and show you how I do this, but we're going to use this leftover yarn to sew together the underarm to the armpit and the base of the body. So we're going to get rid of this hole. But if you have a horrifying creature like this at the moment, you are doing everything perfectly. I usually prefer to do this with a crochet needle, so it's literally just like a sewing needle, but it's bigger so you can fit your yarn through. But I know quite a lot of beginners or people don't tend to have them, so I'm going to show you how to do it with a crochet hook. It's pretty easy once you get the hang of it, so don't worry. I don't really know how to explain it other than pull the yarn through both sides, but working from the inside of the plushie. That way you can kind of hide your stitches and make a really seamless blend. From the outside, this is exactly what it should be looking like. You should just be able to have no gap there, and you can fasten it off just by doing like a little knot at the end, and it should be sufficient. Here we go, how perfect is that? It's all closed up and you are doing a fantastic job if you've got to this point. Any excess yarn that you have, you can just tuck in, and if you wanted to do even more stuffing, you can do it now. For a while, these arms are going to stick out like this really weirdly. It's fine, because later on we're going to pull them down to the lower body and we're going to stitch them to the lower part of the body. The rest of the pattern is super easy, I promise, and we're going to do round 23, which is 5 single crochet and an increase, and we're going to do that the entire way around, leaving you with 49 stitches. For round 24, we're just going to single crochet in every stitch all the way around. Round 25, we're going to be doing 5 single crochet and a decrease, and repeating that the entire way around. So this is now, we're going to actually start closing off the body. Round 26, we're going to be doing 4 single crochet and a decrease, and we're going to repeat that the entire way around, leaving you with 35 stitches. His arms do look a little bit silly, but don't worry, this is kind of how we're going to be folding them down later on. On to round 27, where we're going to be doing 3 single crochet and a decrease, and repeating that the entire way around. for round 28, we're just going to single crochet the whole way round, and you should still have 28 stitches. I am sorry, something seemed to mess up here and I lost some of the footage, but for round 29 you need to do 2 single crochet and a decrease all the way around, which will leave you with 21 stitches, and then for round 30 we need to do a single crochet and a decrease all the way around, leaving you with 14 stitches. As we are closing off the body now, really make sure that you're getting all the stuffing in there as you can, and keep stuffing as we continue to close. Pull the arms down and we push the eyes in. That's kind of giving you an idea of what it will look like eventually. Because right now it looks like some sort of weird creature, I must admit. Getting so close to the end now. For round 31, we are going to decrease all the way around. Finally, for round 32, we're going to decrease all the way around, and you can do a slip stitch and fasten off. If you've got any gaps, you can use your leftover yarn to kind of hide them, pull it all together, finish off how you normally would do. No right or wrong way to do this. I just like to tie a knot, and then eventually I pull the leftover string into the body just because that adds a little bit of extra stuffing. With this extra yarn you could also pull any gaps or holes together, which is what I'm showing you I'm doing here. Don't forget to keep tying knots so your string doesn't come out. Here I used just some leftover yarn to sew the arms to the lower part of the body, and the arms should be folded down like this, and you can kind of push the bottom so they're nice and flat. But this is what it should be looking like. But this is what we should have, so we should have the entire head, body, arms and legs done. And now we're going to make the ears. So we're going to start by doing 4 single crochet in a magic ring. Round 2, we're going to increase all the way around, and it should leave you with 8 stitches. Don't forget that you can use a smaller hook if you're struggling to get your hook through. For round 3, we are going to be doing a single crochet and an increase all the way around. Nice and easy, so this is what the ear should be looking like. You can do a slip stitch and fasten off. You do need to leave a little bit of yarn. Well, I like to leave more than too little, just so I have enough to sew to the head later on. You can manage. Don't forget to try and stuff these. You can use any leftover yarn to push it in, or you can use some polyfill. And this is what they should both look like. I just used the excess yarn to stuff them, and that was fine. So now I'm going to show you how I pull the eyes in. So cut a longer piece of yarn and attach it to your sewing crochet needle. And what we're going to do is out the back of the head, we're going to come through the first eye, and we're going to come through here and then out to the other side of the eye. Through here and then right through out the back through the exact same hole. Now this is how some people add sort of like eyelids, but I like to just pull it straight behind. And then when you pull, it pulls in the eyes towards each other and you get this really sort of nice pulled in effect. And you can just kind of pull it around, shape it however you like, and just keep tugging. And then eventually you can tie a knot out the back. And because it's through the exact same hole, you can pull it through without it being noticeable. And because of the polyfill, it won't go anywhere. Now let's get started on the bulb. So I used a slightly thinner yarn here, so it came out a little bit smaller, but of course if you use the same sort of thickness, or if you use an even thicker one, it should come out larger. So just see what works best for you, but if you use the same weighted yarn, it should be all in proportion and fine. So let's start by doing 6 single crochet in a magic ring. round 2, we're going to increase all the way around, so using a smaller hook size here might be really beneficial. For round 3, we're going to be doing a single crochet and an increase all the way around, and that should leave you with 18 stitches. For round 4, we're going to be doing 2 single crochet and an increase, and we're going to repeat that all the way around, leaving us with 24 stitches. Round 5, we're going to be doing 3 single crochet and an increase all the way around, leaving you with 30 stitches. So for round 6, we're going to be single crocheting all the way around, but we're going to be only doing it in the back loops. So this is where it might be handy to have a smaller hook size like I do here, just to pull it through. For round 7, we're going to do exactly what we just did for round 6. We're going to single crochet all the way around in the back loops only. For round 8, we're going to be doing 3 single crochet and a decrease, but we are also only going to be doing this in the back loops. If you can kind of see, it's creating this really nice sort of ribbed pattern that I thought would be really cool to have on the bulb. For round 9, we're going to single crochet all the way around in the back loops only. Round 10, we're going to do 2 single crochet and a decrease, and we're going to repeat that all the way around in the back loops only. For round 11, we are going to be single crocheting all the way around in the back loops only. For round 12, we are going to be doing a single crochet and a decrease in the back loops only. So at this point, you really need to stuff and stretch this bulb as much as you can. For round 13, we are going to single crochet all the way around in the back loops only. For round 14, we are going to decrease all the way around in the back loops only. this bit might be a little bit difficult, and I've used a much smaller hook size to do this, but we're going to increase all the way around. So now we are going to slip stitch to fasten off our yarn, and make sure you leave quite a lot just so we can do the next part. So I'm just going to wrap it around this top bit a little bit just to really pronounce that really cute little, I don't know what to call it, the top of the bulb, the little sprout, sprigging, not sure what to call it. Put something in the comments if you know what better to call it, because I haven't got a clue. So what we're going to do, if you've ever made a pumpkin, it's very similar. So we're going to pull our yarn through the base of the tip of the bulb. We are going to pull it up and go straight through to the base again, through the hole in the middle. It's really hard to explain, but we're going to pull it like this. I'm sure the visuals are helping a lot better than my explanation right now, but we are going to do this 4 times just so we get a really nice sort of like quadrant. I'm explaining this really badly, but I hope the visuals can help you better than I can right now. So you really want to pull it tight so you can get this sort of indentation. Then when you're ready, just try and do a couple of knots through the bottom, but we're going to be sewing this onto the back of Bulbasaur, so you might as well keep any leftover yarn to sew to the back. So this is what your bulb should look like. Mine came out a little bit small, but I think it's quite cute for my Bulbasaur. And so we're going to be attaching it on the back here. It can be quite difficult, so I suggest using a needle to try and hold it in the correct positioning. And you can do this with crochet hooks, but it's so much easier to do with crochet needles. It just makes it so much easier to maneuver around all of the stitches, whereas with a crochet hook it's quite big and hard to do. Just make sure not to stab yourself, because I do that a lot and it hurts. There's no right or wrong way of attaching your pieces together, just try and do it as seamlessly as possible. If you come from a sewing background, that's really easy, and if you don't, like me, you just try and make it up as you go along. For the final part, we are going to be making the leaves. So let's start by chaining 6. So once you have chained 6, we are going to be crocheting back along. So we're going to start with a single crochet. Then followed with a half double crochet. In the next 2 stitches, so in each one you need to do 1 double crochet. In the last stitch, we're going to be doing 6 double crochets in 1 stitch. Right, sorry, it kind of jumped ahead there, but that's what it should look like. And yes, it's normal for there to be a little bit of a gap. So we're going to move on to the other side of the chain, and we're going to do 1 double crochet, and then in the next one, another double crochet. I do tend to think that this looks better in velvet yarn just because I'm probably not using the right hook size for this weight of yarn and it's a little bit gapey, but it works out okay. In the next stitch, we are going to do a half double crochet. So in the next stitch here, we are going to do a single crochet. Now we are going to chain 2, and you can pull these really tight. And then we're going to connect it to the first stitch with a slip stitch, and we can fasten off, and any leftover yarn you have, you can try and maybe fasten that hole closed at the base and use it to attach to your Bulbasaur. This is what my leaf ended up looking like. I made 3 of them and I kind of attached them at the base. You can do it however you like, however you think would look best, but I like them kind of curling up around the bulb. This is what it looked like with my leaves attached, so I only sewed on the base and then I let the top bit kind of curl over and I thought it looked quite nice. And now for the foot placement, you can kind of attach these wherever you'd like. I didn't really know what I was doing, I was just holding it up to my plushie and seeing where kind of looked best. And this is where using crochet needles really helps because you can hold it in place as you're sewing it on. Some crazy magic. Wow! I've already sewn it on and they've been stuffed and it all looks great. We mustn't forget to sew on the ears. So with a little bit more magic, here we go. So here we go. So this is the finished result of our base Bulbasaur. And of course, on top of this, you can add any sort of details that you like. You can add white for some little toe details, little toenails. You can add some felt, some green, like you've seen on my velvet version, or even some black for the nostrils. Just really customize it how it looks best for you. I ended up deciding that I really didn't like the white toenails on this version. It looks fine, but I thought it looked a little bit cuter without, so I ended up cutting it all off. Obviously, it's up to you and what you think looks best on your plushie, but I decided to leave this one a lot more minimalist with some little pink cheeks. And there we go, our Bulbasaurs are done and I am absolutely in love. If you've made it to the end of this tutorial, huge congratulations, because it is one hell of a tutorial. It is very long and I tried to make it as short as possible, but thank you so much for joining me. Aren't they just so cute? I'm so in love with them. For you that don't know, there are different types of felts that you can get, but this is like this really sort of relaxed one is what I got, and I just glued them on and I thought it looks pretty cool. So cute, I love them. Thank you so much for watching. If you really enjoyed this tutorial, let me know by leaving a like or a comment. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know which Pokemon or which creature I should crochet next. Thank you for watching. Bye!